Good afternoon, everyone who is on so far. My name is Michael Rodnick, part of the training team, and welcome. We're going to start the webinar in probably about 10 minutes. We're going to be looking through Tenstreet, the online app. One of the things that's really exciting, one of the enhancements within the onboarding process. So definitely appreciate the patience. And we're going to wait a little while longer to see if everyone joins us, but thank you for coming on. Hello again, everyone. Just want to, again, thank you for the patience and for those that are jumping in. We'll start around a little after 2, just to make sure we grab as much of the audience from the beginning as we can. We have a nice crowd coming in to see what Tenstreet is, what the benefits are, and you kind of walk through a process of using Tenstreet. So again, we'll start in about 5 minutes. Thanks for the patience, and we'll begin soon. Hello again, guys. This is Michael, and yeah, we're seeing that number continue to grow. Appreciate the patience here. We have about 18 or so of you guys so far. Maybe for a few more. We want to make sure we have as much of our registers in here as possible before we start, just to start from the beginning and everyone gets that. But also, want you guys to utilize the question area or the chat that we have on that you might have on your screen on the right-hand side. If you have questions along the way, we have Gabe and Chrissy, also from Safety. She's going to be our guru that will be able to really answer questions. But please feel free to ask away, and we'll really go through some of the nuts and bolts of what Tenstreet is and the benefits of having it. So we'll give this a start in about 4 more minutes. All right, everyone. All right. So cool. We got 23 in here. Thank you very much for your time this first day of spring. So again, my name is Michael Rodnick, part of the corporate training team, and welcome. Today we are going to touch on, maybe it's the first you've heard of it, maybe you're looking to find out more, but we're going to be really looking at our online application, which is utilized through Tenstreet. Now, the big thing here is I want to make sure that it's understood that this is for part one of the application. So that whole first part of the application that you guys manually enter in, after you collect that paper application from the drivers, this online app has the ability to replace all of that. And we're going to really walk through how that works. Also on this call, who we have Gabe, my co-pilot, my other trainer here, and we also have Chrissy, the guru, someone that's going to really help us speak into maybe some of the questions specifically that you might have with the online application. So kind of looking at going over our agenda today. So we're going to just really talk about what Tenstreet is. We're going to, what's its purpose? What are the benefits of having this online application? We'll talk about where you can get this link that you will provide to future applicants to fill out this online application. We're going to go through a demo. We're going to basically play the driver role, what they see, what they enter, just so you get a feel as well what kind of experience they will be having when it comes to filling out this online applications. And we're going to show you from our end how we see it from the safety portal side of when they submit that application. What does the safety department see? How do we receive it? What do we do once we receive it? And so on from there. So, again, thank you very much for jumping on this morning, or afternoon, or depending on where you are. What am I saying? So we will we'll get going here. So, going to take down this. Let y'all stare at my background for 1 second. All right. So, what I have on my screen now. So this is the first page for an online application. So the first question that you might have is, all right, how do I get this? So what we're looking at is, I'm going to paste it in. So this link that we see in the address bar here, you're going to receive a link from either you can contact Debbie Raymond or your driver qualification specialist at safety department. They could provide this for you, but that link is going to be unique to your location. So think of it as how you log into the safety portal or how you even log into the agent portal. That's going to be a unique identifier for your operation. That's exactly how the link will work for your applicants. So you won't have to worry about your applicant, maybe, let's say, going to a different location within the system. There's going to be a unique identifier in that link that will submit that applicant under your domicile. So, excuse me. What we're seeing here on the first page that a driver would experience, it really talks about what am I going to need as a driver in order to move forward with this. So it talks about like an introduction at first, hey, thank you for your interest in driving for Evans Delivery Companies. Here are a few things that we'll need: Social Security number, home address for the last 5 years, current CDL and CDL history, employment history, and any history of traffic accidents, violations. As an agent, you're going to hear a similarity from all of those questions, because that is part of part one of the application. That part that will go through different pages that will ask for those different sections. So the idea behind this, the idea behind having an online app for part one, it's going to auto-populate a lot of that within the safety portal. It's going to collect digital signatures on these documents. It's going to, one of the best things about it, and I think you guys will cheer about this, it'll automatically initiate the driver in the safety portal, meaning you won't have to plug in their social security number, go to your basic information screen, plug in manually name, last name, city, create all of their employment locations. This app is going to replace all of those data entry points from your end and auto-populate it, because the driver will fill all that information out here in the online app. So I'm pretty sure I heard everyone cheer there. If not, I'm pretty sure you're going to cheer once you've experienced the ease behind this. But the data from the application will auto-populate the fields that you guys would previously hand key in. And then you guys will also see this in the safety portal as well when a driver does submit this. So we're going to go forward here. I'm going to click Next. It's going to walk through. It's a very simple, straightforward walkthrough. So it makes it very easy for the owner-operator, the applicant, to fill this out and ensure that all fields are properly filled in. For those who have experience within the safety portal or even the agent portal, there are catches there that won't let you move forward unless you have, let's say, required fields filled in. The online application with Tenstreet works the exact same way. It's going to remind or bring to attention an area that still needs addressing when this is being filled out. So to first begin, it's going to say to qualify. What are our qualifications? 23 years of old, must meet all DO2 requirements, and then the verifiable Class A experience. So if I, as an applicant, meet that, I'm going to click Next. And here's where we start to put in our personal information as that driver. So as you see here, we're going to see the red stars by all of the required fields, right? So that's going to make it a lot simpler for that driver to fill out this application because they know all the areas that are going to be needed to be filled out. So as for social, we'll do, I think I did too many characters there. Nope, did it just right. So I'm going to put as my social in, and if you remember, that social is what you would manually enter into the safety portal to initiate this whole process. So just keep that in mind as we go forward with this. Now, you're going to see me go a lot slower filling this out because I really want to just explain and show a couple different catches and your reactions depending on what is clicked. But when a driver fills this out, it's going to be very straightforward in what it's asking, and they'll be able to fill this out and really, kind of move through it pretty smoothly, having all of that information up front so they can just plug in this. So I'm going to plug in, as this is a requirement, throw in my birthday, then we'll throw in my address. And again, all of this information will look very similar to what is filled out on the paper application. Resident address for 3 years or more. If I would say yes, you're going to see I can move forward. If I would say no, this is where one of the areas it might ask for an additional address. So we're going to say yes for this. I'm going to put in my phone number. It's the phone number we always see on every TV show. It's like they call each other all the time. So put in my email address. Oops. It's going to ask, these aren't required. We're not seeing a little star here, but I'm going to just, select here. And then you have down here, I want to receive information and communications from Evans Delivery concerning future opportunities and promotions. So this is something they can opt in, or they can uncheck to basically, say opt out and not receive those. And the same thing with text messages as well. So then I got a little message here. Yes, I want to receive information and communications. So I'm going to say no thanks to that. And then the same thing with text because I didn't select. So it's more or less a reminder, hey, Do you want to receive communications via text? I'll just say no thanks to this. And now we're going into some more specific information. Have you discussed your application with any Evans network contact? If I say no, you can move forward. If I say yes, you're going to see this is going to open up another area to where I can now get more specific with who did I talk to. So they can put your name, code, your 3-letter alpha code, and even the number that they spoke to as a reference point. But also just keep in mind that the link that you provide them will have your code reference to with this application, so they can get more specific of who they talk to. So let's say, I was, they talked to me, maybe I'm a terminal manager of ABC, and I have my phone number there. So what position am I applying for? Owner-operator. If I'm an owner-operator, you're going to see I can select yes and start even putting my tractor information here. So it really starts to grab additional information based off of what type of position am I applying for. So if I'm bringing on a truck, I can put this in here as well. If I'm driving for an owner-operator, I'm going to select no because I might not have that information privy. But we'll go through and we're going to put in a little more information here. So bear with me. I have a little cheat sheet on my side when it comes to that. So let's see, we're going to say tractor. We'll say I have a 2018 Freightliner. Cdl. I had to look and see what other models are Freightliners because obviously I'm not a truck driver. But I like to drive Vibrant, so I'm going orange. I do know that it's 17 characters, and if I could put a weight in here is where are not required. So 5th wheel height is required. I actually cheated and looked on another one to make sure I was getting something that was accepted. So, and it goes through now your additional information here. Do you have a Class A license? If I select yes, you're able to move forward. But watch, if I select no, it says, sorry, you do not meet Evans Delivery Company requirements. So that's one of those little catches there to kind of play. It plays off of the decisions made, if you want to say. So with us being CDL Class A required, a yes is needed in order to move forward with this application. Are you legal or eligible to work in the United States? Yes. Are you currently employed? I can say yes. If I say no, it's going to ask me when was the last time that I was employed. So again, I just want to show you a couple little break-off required areas if a certain question is answered in a different way. So it's, have you ever worked with this company before? So if I worked with Evans before, here's where I can start to just get a little bit of a history, and safety will use that accordingly. So let's say I worked there 2017 at ABC, over-the-road driver, the generic infamous question or answer. I have a TWIC, and if I have a TWIC, it's going to ask me when does it expire. So just to put something a little further in the future, we'll say a year from today. Have you ever been known by any other names? Nicknames, yes, but we'll just say no for that. If you refer to by a driver, please enter the driver's name and agent code. So this is if it was a driver referral. She spoke to a driver. You can put that information in here. And then you got your other area here. For an emergency contact, you want to put their information in this area. So down below now we have a little bit of a driver experience. So it's going to say for each of these areas there needs to be something entered in. There might not be experience within these areas, and if there is not, this is where a driver, I'm directed to write none in. So let's say, I never drove a straight truck, but I, did tractor and semi-trailer. So in here, I'm going to type in containers from, we'll say from 9/2010 through 3/2019. None. And if they had any awards, what were the awards? Who was the award from? They can put some certificates type of things in there if anything would be current within. So we go to next. It's going to ask for my CDL. So here it's really the same type of information that is asked for on the paper application, but it is nice and clean in an online format for them to fill all of this stuff out. So, and what's nice with this as well here, so let's say I'm from Pennsylvania, right? As you see here, it has for each state, if there is a certain requirement that the state might have, as the default, how many characters, it's going to let me know that. So for Pennsylvania, license is formatted with 8 numbers. So depending on the state, it will make sure that at least from a numerical standpoint in terms of how many numbers appear, it will try to catch that for you to help the applicant fill out. So see, we're going to put in the the expired date. So let's say it's next year. Physical expiration. So it goes a little further. When does my physical expire? And it's going to talk about, is this my current driver's license? Is this a CDL or is this a commercial driver's license? If so, what class? So here's where they can start to pick what class they have, which again, Class A is a requirement for us. And now it talks about what type of endorsements, if any, does that owner-operator have. And it's a reference point. If you click hazmat, it will ask when does their hazmat endorsement expire. So it does go into a little more in depth with that as well. So if that's the only license that I hold, I can now move forward. If there was another one, you're going to see you have add another license. It'll go through that same rinse, lather, repeat type of motion where they can go through and enter all of that information in for that license. And then it goes into other kind of questions. Were you ever in the military? Were you employed, contracted, or did you attend a company orientation in the last 5 years? We'll say yes, and then look, it's going to show me, all right, what is the information that you want to enter in for this. So let's say I drove for Rodnick's Trucking, started in, 2010. Then here it says, if you are currently employed or contracted, please enter the current month and year as the end date. So let's just say, I ended last month. So this is not a current employer for me. So we'll go through and, we'll go a little different country. For extra credit, can anyone spell Schuylkill with their eyes closed? All right, and we'll go with our zip code. Again, here's a couple areas that are not required, but they can enter in if they have the information. A reason for leaving. So I know this is not, but we'll just put that in there. Reason for leaving. We'll just say better pay. Another famous reason. Were you terminated? So here's a more, how did you come about with this? What is this? Were you terminated or laid off? Is it your current employer? So if I say no, may we contact this employer at this time? So this is one of those, one of those times where you might have an applicant say, hey, I'm currently working for this company. Can you please not contact him yet? This is where they could notify us to, hold off, or they can give us permission to do so. Since I'm not working there, I can say, yes, I'm fine with that. Did you operate a commercial motor vehicle? Then I can say yes, and this goes through some of those different questions, if you remember, or if you have a paper application in front of you, has those couple little questions between each employer. Were you subject to the FMCSA regulations? Did you perform any safety-sensitive functions, and were you subject to the drug and alcohol testing? A couple other optional ones here. Yeah, areas driven. So let's say, I was local. I stayed within, the region. I can throw that in there, and then I can put a rough estimate. So this kind of goes a little more in depth. Lets us know, or lets even you guys know when you access within the agent or safety portal what kind of areas did they drive. If it's something that you might be interested in. Pay. I'm just going to leave that blank. But what was my common truck driven? We'll do tractor trailer, and what did I drove a container most of the time. What was the trailer length? Well, it's usually a 40-foot, so we'll say between the 32 and 40. I can click save. So here's where it's going to look to see, and hey, did you mean this? So there are little references in there to see, did you mean this particular carrier based off of the information, or company based off the information that you entered? If it is, you can select it. If not, no, use the one that I have entered. So now this is where they can repeat this as well. If they have additional history, additional employees that they want to enter in, they'll have the ability to do that. I'm going to select no, because that one I worked with, I will say for 9 years. Have you attended a driving school? So again, here's some more required questions, and as you see, it's all on one screen. It just shifts through as they enter. It's not confusing. It tries to make it as clean as possible when it comes to what is being filled out. Have you attended a school not trucking related in the last 5 years? We'll say no. Have you been unemployed at any time in the last 5 years? I'll say yes, because I did say that I stopped last month. So, oops. If you're currently employed, please enter current month. There we go. Now I can click it. Yes. So that was asking, do you want to add this unemployment period of time? So now that I did that, now it's kind of a point. Just like with that paper app, just like with through the safety portal, you want to make sure that there are no gaps, and the system will recognize, hey, did you work within this many time, or were you unemployed? There will be those little catches as well. So now it's going to ask, was I unemployed? Would you like to add another unemployment? I'll say no. So let's see. So here's a little catch. Says DOT regulations require us to ask about 5-year history before March 2014 if you were operating a commercial motor vehicle. So it's a little message that we're required to ask depending on what is filled out. I can, if so, please add those employment dates as well. I will, let's see here. I will click continue. Now it's going to take me through the motor vehicle records. It's going to talk about, that other page. Have you ever been licensed, ever suspended, denied, revoked? Any of these. If you click yes, you'll see that it will give, all right, can you please provide a little more information? So this is that page of the paper app where they would provide additional information if any of them were a yes. So have you ever been convicted of alcohol or controlled substances, possession, reckless driving? So this is talking about now those moving violations. Have you ever tested positive or refused a pre-employment drug test? So those are all required. You're going to see the red star behind each of them. They will not be able to move forward without answering those questions. Have you had any moving violations within the past 3 years? Again, if you say yes, it'll talk about more in depth of what was the reason. Can you provide additional information that goes along with that? Were you involved in an accident in the last 5 years? The same thing. If I say yes, additional information. When was the accident or incident? What type was it? Was hazmat involved? Was a tow-away involved? There's some other additional. So just like before, the more information they can provide up front, the better it is. because if there is a yes, we will be asking or seeking additional information. So if they have it here, this will be a great start of providing that within the online app. And again, have you been of crime? Have you deferred prosecution and criminal charges pending? So again, more required. Any felonies? And have you within the last pleaded guilty of anything? So with misdemeanors, all required to move forward. So here, one of the confirmation screen, they can now basically review all of that information that they pulled up or they filled out within. They can review it to make sure it all looks good. So it's kind of like, all right, I want to confirm this before I move forward. And then down here, it's going to be sloppy, but if they're doing it on a tablet, easier. They can sign. Now I'm a doctor. I can save it. And then now we've got a little bit of a, this is actually another part of the application. If you remember, here's the Fair Credit Report Act, where they can review this. And then by checking this box, they're acknowledging that they did read and understand what it is. And they do have the ability to print this. So if they want a copy of this, they can print this from their local computer. And here's about the PSP. It's a PSP form of the paper app, where all they would do is, we need their signature authorizing or giving permission to run their PSP, which, as you know, is a very big part of our application process. We put weight into previous, driving history when it comes to roadside inspections, what kind of violations, if any, how often, that type of thing. This is what we need permission, the sign of this to run that. And you have the printable version right here, just like before. They can print this out. You have your print button right there. So they can click that, click next, and then authorization of background investigation. Another form that they can print to have for their records. And when they select or check the box after reviewing it, they can then move forward, and a disclosure for release. Another one of those forms that is part of the paper app for them to take care of. So in here, personal contact information. Here's where they will put all of that information. How bad is it that I forget my social security number that I put in? Let's say it was, I think there was an 8 in there somewhere, but we'll give this a try. I'll put my birthday in again. Would you like to save this data? Would you like to have sent a copy? So I can have myself a copy sent. And again, it's going to ask, for the signature. Yep. So that didn't match the original. So I'm going to go back and cheat and copy. What did I put? There it is. All right. I knew there was an 8 in there. Thank you, Chrissy. So now I'm going to go forward. So see, I'm not perfect either. But obviously a driver is going to know their Social Security, because they're not going to make one up out of the blue. But here we go. We'll scroll down here. Next again, next again, next again. Chrissy even warned me to remember my Social Security. Did I listen? I thought so. Oh, it even says it right there. Look at that. There's even cheat proof, right? It even helps you out right there. So I have all that entered in. Hope you guys are humored. Let's see, what did I make sure? Oh, I forgot a 5. And that's why it was still yellow. So it looks like it highlights it for you when there's an area that needs to be filled out. And then we get the thanks. So at this point, it looks like we have a user portal, tasks. So at this point now, it will have been sent over to the safety portal. And what I want to do is just show you what it looks like from that end, what it's going to look like from the end of the safety department receiving that online application. So I'm going to pull this up before I swing it over. And here's an email that would just come across. So since I filled it out online, I put my email address in. It's going to say attached is the PDF for the requested online form. So they can have that application sent to them. So this is my application that I just filled out online. So they can have that copy. And all of that was filled out. Here's all of the background information that required signatures. It's a nice document to keep for them if they wanted to keep a copy of it. And let's see here. So it's Lee, and let's see. And Chrissy, what would you say the turnaround time is for once a driver submits an application? When will you guys in safety see that application in the safety portal?
I think it's every 15 minutes that there's a push that comes through. So I don't know where it is on its cycle.
Gotcha. Okay. So every 15 minutes. So think of that as when you're in an agent portal, you're scanning supporting documents, and that roughly falls within that same type of time frame where when you scan in, it's usually 10 to 15 minutes that you can view those documents that you scanned in. Think of that as the same format, same time frame from a driver application standpoint. But when you put that into consideration, 15 minutes compared to I handed a paper application to a driver, he took it home. You don't know when you're going to see him again. You don't know when he's going to bring that application in. So that 15 minutes has the ability to just cut out so much of that wait time for you as you wait for that application to be given back to you to then manually enter everything in. So, but, and Chrissy, here's another question for you. So on this screen here, the user portal, will this be something that they log into and can view certain things? Or because we're looking here, it says no tasks found. Would this update if something's required for said driver?
So when we're reviewing an application, we might find a missing employer that was listed on the PSP, but not listed on the application, or if there was a date discrepancy, something like that, we can push the application back to the applicant, and then the tasks will be on this form.
Okay.
And we'll typically send an email before we send out the task, just so that the driver or the applicant knows what we're looking for. And then they might have to go back in and re-review or make adjustments.
Excellent. Here we had a question from Carrie. She asks, will drivers be able to go back to the application once it is submitted? So would that be when you push it back, or once it's submitted, will they have access to that application again if anything needs to be changed, or is that only when you would say, hey, can you please fix this?
If they have the link, they can click on the link again, and it will pop open. It will ask for your social and your birth date and all of your basic information, and you'll be able to pop back in there that way.
Excellent. There you go, Carrie. So yeah, if they can kind of pull it up with their personal information to see it. So that's great question, Carrie. Great question. Putting you on the spot again, Chrissy, is there anything that you wanted to add, or is there anything that I may have skipped over? Because we wanted to make sure that we give a good idea of what the Tenstreet does for them.
Just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that this should be applicant-driven. You're going to provide the link to your applicant, so it's not like you should be filling in the application for your driver. They should be able to do that, right from their link, and they should be able to do it on their own. So that should take out that whole application part 1 for you.
Yes.
But application part 2 and the lease documents are not yet available through Tenstreet. That is way in the future. So it is still partially, online, and then the rest will be manual.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And let's see. Looks like we have Rebecca Brink asked, what are the other options other than owner operators for position? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Chrissy. I think there was a driver for owner operator and I believe fleet owner.
Correct.
Okay. Yep. So you have those 3 options, Rebecca. You have owner operator, driver for an owner operator, or fleet owner. And Martin asks, is the application mobile friendly, like on a tablet or a cell phone?
Yes. Yes, it's very mobile friendly. They can definitely do this on their phone. Tenstreet has something that they call Pulse app, and so we'll even be able to tell when that application comes through if they did do it on their phone. So it's definitely user friendly like that.
Excellent, excellent. So yes, definitely it's user friendly on all devices. It sounds like, whether desktop, whether mobile, or let's see here. We got Patrick. Why is Part 2 and the truck lease so far ahead in the future? Breaking it up between these different platforms seems like it could cause problems, especially with the Evans system. That's Pat from CAI.
Can you repeat that?
Why is Part 2 and the truck lease so far ahead in the future? I guess in terms of creating an online application, as with like Part 1 is.
They would be considered custom documents. So the application is pretty standard. They make adjustments for our DOT number and our name and our logo and things like that, but the application is pretty standard across any company. And then anything else additional would be something that we would have to customize. We would love to see all of those docs in there. It would be great if we could get that lease agreement out there, but we have to get our guys, our agents, using this online portion, and then the more we use it, the more we'll be able to add some more features.
So baby steps, and we're definitely looking to, would you say we're looking to push people towards the online app versus using the paper app? We'd love to see more of that, is what you're saying.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's going to be a lot easier for our agents. We do advise, of course, that you're still vetting your potential applicants. Please don't just throw a link out on Craigslist and hope that you get 25 applications in. Hopefully that you're still able to sort of vet and personalize who you're sending this link out to. Otherwise, we're going to be overwhelming the system and our folks down here in the safety department.
Right. Yeah. So that's one of those things. I agree. We want to kind of get feelers out for the person you might be talking to, and all right, I like what I'm hearing. You can then send them that link for them to move forward with. Yeah. You don't want to post it on a social media or that type of platform, because then you're going to get anyone looking for a job clicking down through all of the opportunities. So yeah, good point, Chrissy. Awesome, guys. Any other questions? Great questions. Great questions. Let's see. Do I see anyone right there? Yep, we got Carrie. So, and just again, a reminder, if this is something that you are interested in, you could reach out to your driver qual person or Debbie or Chrissy to obtain that unique link to begin, looking to provide to potential applicants and have the online application filled out. So it is definitely something that we're excited about moving forward with, because it's going to streamline so much of that coming forward. And it takes a lot of this, just the data entry portions out. for part one, and it puts it into the driver's hands to fill out the online app. And as you saw, it is very straightforward, and it will walk you through, the additional steps that might be needed depending on what is being asked or how was answered.
Mike, I did throw in a Brett's test.
I do see that, and that popped up. So
under A1C, just so everybody can see what it looks like, so we're not waiting until the very last second there.
Cool. Yep. So I pulled it over here. So yep, I do see that we have. It looks like this is what. So Chrissy, you can correct me. So this is what you guys would see, and the agents would see under their login for someone who fills out an online application. Would that be accurate?
Right. It'll come into the safety portal. This first one is yellow just because I didn't click enter. So it would be the first three green, and then once we provided the reports, we'll populate those, and then of course we'll do the checkpoint like we normally would. But if you click in there, you'd be able to see what the application looks like when it comes through, and all of the information.
Right. Let's see. We
have put in there.
Let's see. We have a question, or a question from Pat. So he says, "What about one of those smart code things that iPhones can scan and take to a website? Is that possible? So we can put that on a flyer." So I think I know what you're talking about, Pat. So basically, that code would direct, to you put that link behind that code for applicants. I would say that's. I mean, I'll let Chrissy answer, but you want to be careful with that. I mean, you can create codes to take you to a website. You see that so much more in advertising. You just pull up your camera and it opens up Safari or whatever to that link. It has the potential to fall into that same category that anyone can scan that. So maybe if you had it in an area where obviously is driven towards truck drivers, owner-operators, independent contractors, that would be better. But have you had any, Chrissy, had anyone mention that before about kind of making I think it's called like a QR code that would direct them to the app and putting it on the web, take them to that app website?
I have not. Debbie Raymond, she's not in today, but she might have more information about that.
Cool.
Because she was she's usually the go-to for setups for these.
Good deal. And let's see, Carrie asked, does the security awareness and hazmat training upload directly into the portal, or will we have to manually move over? So I believe that's
still
with the
manual. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
Still manual.
Yep. Still manual. The ones that are completed through Evan's Pit Stop, yes, those are manual ones that it's sent to the Pit Stop group. You'll receive a copy of it, and they can also print out a copy. But that's something that you would manually, or that has to be manually scanned into those respective fields in the safety portal. Good stuff. I like the questions, guys. I like it. Keep them coming. Any other questions? Well, let's see if there's. Hey, there's my guy. So this is the one that I entered in today. So it looks like boom, right off the bat we have our three greens. We got our disclosure that was green. So this is where, all right, if I was an actual contractor driver looking, or owner operator looking to drive, I filled out my online app. This is where safety now will take my information just like they do now. They would run my MVR, run my PSP, and at that point, that could, potentially and get me to that first checkpoint to then move forward. So it's, I didn't time it, but yeah, that was within that 15-minute range that Chrissy said that every 15 minutes or so, there's a push from Tenstreet into the safety portal. So it's a pretty quick and smooth process with that. Let's see, we have Martin asking, or I said, I have heard of an auto-populate feature that drivers can use for IntelliApp. Does that work for this app if the driver has a profile on Tenstreet?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So if you have a driver that has filled out any online application for any company that uses Tenstreet, when they use the link that you provide, again, it's going to first start out asking that basic information. It's going to ask your name, it's going to ask your social, and it's going to ask for your birth date. And if it's in there, if your information is in there, the next screen that'll pop up will say, would you like to auto-populate this form? So you click yes, and it will fill in as much of the form as possible. And then you'll just have to make your updates and make any changes or corrections. So
Excellent.
If they've used it one time, they can just keep building off of that.
Good stuff. Excellent. That's a great question, Martin, and probably an even better answer to hear. So excellent stuff. So it sounds very intuitive. Tenstreet has, it opens up if it's been used. I mean, from what I'm understanding, it's a, I don't want to say a use a lot out there, but it's not unknown. It is known. So if they have an account that or someone that used Tenstreet, kind of keeps that kind of a resume type of feel to it, where if they just keep it updated, they can have a majority of that already filled out for them. That is good stuff. Good question, Martin. Any other questions? All right. Well, we definitely, I think we covered a good amount, and we're right coming up on that hour mark. So, I really appreciate everyone who jumped on this, and I hope that you find this useful. Hopefully, you find interest in or seeing the benefits of having access to an online application to initiate that process to get drivers moving forward. And again, just remember, you can get more information and even the app from your driver qualification specialist, from Chrissy or Debbie, and they could get that for you, and then also just really go into more detail for those specific questions that you might have. Let's see, Pat, I do not see Tim. But no problem. But yeah, if there are no other questions, this was an awesome time. It was a learning experience for me too. Thank you very much, Chrissy, for your expertise with this. And I hope you guys find the value behind this. Reach out to your respective qual person or Chrissy or Debbie for any additional information or the link. And hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
See you.